therefore has been a lot more emphasis, and Prime Minister created a task force for cashless society. And the purpose was that, today we have close to about 95% of our transactions at a retail level conducted in cash. The cash in circulation is pretty much at the all-time high. And cash has many other issues, from corruption to cost of production of cash, to disease possibility, right, to slowness of economy. And you see it around the world that digital means of payment have surpassed cash many-fold already. Pakistan is still lagging behind, and we've woken up to the opportunity, and it's time to deliver on that. And that's the reason why there is so much more emphasis.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of All Things Money. My guest today is CEO of Jazz, who is also the Group Executive of WION and Chairman Mobilink Bank, Aamir Ibrahim. Hi Aamir, so good to have you on my show today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So a little earlier, we had your colleague Kazim Mushtaba, and we went into a lot of details about how Jazz has been, the journey that Jazz has from being a telco to a service co. I think lately, one thing that I would like to know, and I think maybe a lot of our audience would like to know, is more about digital Pakistan. And JazzCash has played a very big role in that. And I was told earlier that you're part of the committee too, the Prime Minister's task force. So maybe you could talk more about how the society can go from cash-based to cashless, because the last I checked, the M2 levels of State Bank have been increasing and not coming down, partly because of inflation.
Yeah. Good. So you already know the Jazz journey from being a monolithic legacy telecom operator.
We would like to go back to that too, but let's start with
digital service co. And by service co, we mean that we service our customers. So the customer is at the center of our universe, and we don't want our identity to be defined by the licenses we hold, but by the services that we provide. And how good we are at that really should be our goal in terms of improvement and making an impact in the lives of customers. Lately, there has been a little bit more talk about JazzCash, digital Pakistan, cashless economy, digital society. All these things that converge towards using technology to help improve the lives of citizens, of customers, the efficiency of the government, right? So that's why, therefore, has been a lot more emphasis, and Prime Minister created a task force for cashless society. And the purpose was that, today we have close to about 95% of our transactions at a retail level conducted in cash. The cash in circulation is pretty much at the all-time high. And cash has many other issues, from corruption to cost of production of cash, to disease possibility, right, to slowness of economy. And you see it around the world that digital means of payment have surpassed cash many-fold already. Pakistan is still lagging behind, and we've woken up to the opportunity, and it's time to deliver on that. And that's the reason why there is so much more emphasis. I'll give you a few more statistics on that. After so many years, we have just about 100,000 locations or POS machines. Mm-hmm. These are point of sales, right? Where your debit card or a credit card be accepted. And that's for a population of 250 million people. We have only 19,000 ATMs, or just about under 20,000 bank branches. So our reach as formal financial institutions and means of documenting our customers, our citizens, has been quite weak. We have a great opportunity, because what you have in your hand is not just a phone, it's the remote control to your life. It is your bank account, it is your device to purchase goods and services. So we are now using this device to open bank accounts. We're using the smartphone to actually be able to send funds from one to the other, and also to make payments at a retail level. That's why there is emphasis. And JazzCash now has more than 350,000 locations and merchants who accept a QR payment, which is an alternative to the e-POS machine that I was talking about. And working with the government, with the Central Bank of Pakistan, State Bank of Pakistan, which has a very huge emphasis on deployment of Rast QR, we're working with them hand in glove to make sure that at any given location in Pakistan, you can accept digital payments. So that's a little bit of longer short of why it is important. we want to digitize the economy. The whole thing is about digital Pakistan. There are many aspects to digital Pakistan, but one of the key components of digital Pakistan is a digital economy.
That's all well and good, but when the elections happened last year, there were stories of roomfuls of cash and cash counting machines. There was a shortage of them because so much cash was exchanging hands. So yes, we all want digital Pakistan, but there has to be a political will for that. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is the financial literacy, or just basic literacy at the base levels. So many women in the rural areas do not even have SIMs, much less a mobile. So what role can JazzCash play in increasing financial literacy and increasing female empowerment? Because unless they have access to a means of cash, they cannot actually have a business, sell their handicrafts.
Okay. I'll zoom out a little bit on why does jazz exist. So a few years ago, we went down to soul search and defined the purpose of jazz. And then we zeroed in on basically jazz exists to help improve the lives and livelihoods of people through technology. And we over-index our support towards marginalized communities like women and children. So we have a huge focus on women empowerment, and that empowerment is not just giving them livelihoods, but also empowerment of having a bank account. And that also means like giving them financial literacy. So we have programs that we run in rural areas through our partners and ourselves, which is a combination of digital and physical. So we have, outreach programs where we sit down with city, village elders, and we talk about what is the internet, what is a smartphone, what is a bank account opening, how can it be done. So we are working on those things.
What's the mode of communication? Do you have locals helping?
Yeah, we have locals. So we have like partners who are well entrenched into the villages, where women have psychological safety to express their concerns. It's not going to be somebody who is alien to that environment, speaking in a jargon that is non-intelligible. So it has to be in a language, in a manner that is that increases the receptiveness of the audience in terms of understanding the message and also the opportunity. So we're working on empowerment, we're working on inclusion, we're working on financial literacy. Through the bank, we also run programs like WIN, which is a Women Inspiration Network, where we're actually onboarding female entrepreneurs and giving them the tools on how can they manage their businesses, how can they use e-commerce, how can they use their own account, how do they actually get that independence which has been lacking for such a long time. So it's not that we have multiple challenges as a country when it comes to women, about them being invisible, not counted, not being included in inheritance, not being given a bank account. We can't address all the societal issues all in one go. But wherever we think that technology can play its part and it can really scale things up massively, we are using all of those tools to our advantage. And like on the banking side, of the loans that we issue, by the way, 150,000 loans a day.
Okay.
These are these small
and
loans.
What's the ticket size?
It's about 5,000 rupees. So these are nano loans. About 30% of the recipients are actually women. And they use it many a times for productive things. So it could be a salon owner who needs some working capital and takes a loan. Our credit scoring engine whitelists her, and within 30 seconds, the money is in her account and she can repay the money back anytime in the next 4 weeks. So this is how we are actually providing them with some capital, which is for productive reasons and very easily dispersible into their JazzCash wallets.
You mentioned credit scoring mechanism. How do you judge a credit score?
So we have algorithms and we have a large data lake where we have existing relationships with our customers. We have an idea.
How do you judge somebody who's just new, a new time
It takes, so a new person will be perhaps at a disadvantage to being able to take advantage of this particular thing. We do run some tests all the time, but the longer the customer stays with us, the more we know about the customer, their payment patterns, their usage patterns, and then it's an AI-based model. The model then scores and credit scores the customer, which then determines to what extent can we lend them money. So we go up to, I think, 30,000 rupees right now. Maybe the first timer could get a loan for 2,000 rupees straight away. And somebody who's been with us, borrowed, repaid, borrowed again, repaid again, could actually get a credit limit of 30,000. So it's all done automatically. There's no human intervention. I can't really pick a customer or a location or any of those things. So this is all machine learning and AI driven.
And what is your infection ratio, your non-performing loans ratio?
We have a very acceptable non-performing loan, which is just hovering at about 10%, which in an environment where you're doing non-collateralized, non-secure loans, it's quite good. And again, this with the passage of time will get better and better, because once we know more about the customers, we know about their behaviors, the machine also learns, the intelligence gets smarter. So we actually hope that we will get to a point where those customers who actually have a good credit score should actually get a lower interest rate for their loan. And those who are riskier will have a higher interest rate.
So with EasyPaisa getting its digital banking license, is that affecting your business? Is that a threat to you? How do you see that?
I think the more the merrier at this stage. Pakistan is going through a digital revolution, and we need as many players. EasyPaisa is a great brand. They were the first ones to revolutionize this industry. I think them getting a digital banking license is very good. What we need to do collectively as an industry is to make sure that we earn the trust of the customers, because with any technology there would be some bad elements in a society also who will do social engineering, they will do fraud, and then unfortunately that fraud gets associated with the type of a product or with a brand. So then either EasyPaisa would be named and shamed, or the entire digital banking thing will perhaps not gain the credibility that it deserves. So we as an industry really need to be on top of our games in making sure that we have the right fraud control mechanism, we have the monitoring systems, we have quick resolutions so that the confidence of the customers is built. So in that sense, I welcome more players, and I hope that we do a good job in building the confidence for customers so that they trust us with their cash, they replace it from under the pillow and into the digital wallet.
As idealistic as that dream is, I especially hope for the lower sectors that do not have access to financial services, and also that perhaps this model in which payment history allows them access to a higher ticket size, perhaps over time the more traditional banks could follow that model too. All of that is well and good, but the challenge in the economy is just that people do not want to be digitized. That's the whole. People don't want to pay taxes, they do not trust the government, so they do not trust any means of payment that allows them to have that footprint. Now, yes, they want access to financing, but they don't want the government to know it. So how do you address that challenge?
Yeah. So again, we can't solve all the problems. Certain problems have to be solved by the government. How do we make sure that there is credibility behind the taxman taking their fair share? And like as a country, we're still only paying 10%. Our contribution in taxes is only about 10% to GDP, which is still on the lower side. So as a country, we have a responsibility to pay our fair share of taxes. Now, that being said, at an individual level, people might be slightly more hesitant.
Slightly more hesitant? I speak for the masses. We are very hesitant.
We're very hesitant. And that's work that the tax authorities have to do in terms of earning that trust. What we can do as technology is making sure that the convenience is so overwhelming that people move towards digital. And once they have moved towards digital, then there will be an opportunity for the taxman to also take their fair share of it. But the first part is really about digitizing the transactions. And certainly one of the impediments at a retail level we sense is that of getting documented. Now, if you get documented and the tax rate is 2%, I'm sure everybody will pay. But if the tax rate is 18% or 17%, people will try to find leakages and avoid that thing. So it's a balancing act between how high the taxes are and how wide you go. As a country, I think our biggest challenge is that we're not going wide enough. We may have increased our tax to GDP by going after the usual suspects, which is salaried class, which is the businesses which are already registered. But we have to go towards newer sectors. I know there's an effort around agriculture right now. There could be around real estate. This is how you broaden. But every single individual, based on their capacity and their capability, should pay their due share. That is not happening. That's why we feel that sometimes some of the people are getting squeezed, like the salaried people are getting squeezed a lot and they complain a lot, perhaps rightfully so.
Even the credit that we upload in our mobile, the amount that we pay in taxes is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So coming to our telco's core service, Jazz's core service, I think we all want faster internet. And between 5G and Starlink, there's so much hype. Maybe you could talk a little bit about why 5G is viable for us or not, and how is Starlink different from the usual telco services?
Okay. As I said, we're a service co, so that means putting the customer at the center of our universe. Now, what do customers want? This thing about 4G, 5G, Starlink are things that marketeers are good at, and they say, well, this 5G must be better than 4G, and therefore 4G is better than 3G. But if you really think about it from a customer-centric perspective, the customer wants better internet. What does better internet means? It means that it should be reliable, it should be fast, it should be robust, it should work everywhere, and it should be relatively affordable. In Pakistan, we have taken care of the affordability part. Our rates in Pakistan are the cheapest or amongst the cheapest in the world. But the reliability is sporadic. Sometimes internet is shut down for things that are not directly related to operator choices. And sometimes the internet speed is not in line with what the customer is expecting. So from that perspective, the customer wants a better experience. This is a little bit of a fallacy that 5G will automatically be able to provide that. And there are 2-3 reasons for that. Theoretically, yes, 5G will have a faster internet. But today, if I had access to slightly larger spectrum band, I would have been able to provide that faster experience. If deploying cell sites in areas like Karachi, Defense, DHA was easier for me, the user experience would have been completely different.
So is this linked to the recent GSM report in which that said that our bandwidth is not being completely used, the whole spectrum?
We are a very spectrum-starved country. So the amount of spectrum that the country has released is 250 odd megahertz, right? That's just not enough for a country with a population of 250 million people, which is got about 190 million SIMs. It's just not enough. And our data consumption is now close to about 10 gigs per customer. So we need
10 gigs per customer.
So we need
over
more.
What time span?
So this is the monthly usage that a customer has.
So a customer has 10 gigs of usage per month.
On our average, things, which is not that much, by the way. There are countries with about 20 or so.
Yes, but it's Pakistan that has limited access to internet, limited access to smartphones.
No, but people find watching YouTube relatively refreshing and easy. But coming back to the spectrum issue, so in 4G and 5G, what customers want is better internet. What we try to confuse them with is 5G is better than 4G. Governments think about 5G because it's a source of revenue. The vendors, who are people who make the equipment, they want to sell 5G because that's more sales. The team or the element which is going to stick it all together is actually the operator or the investor. So we have to make sense at what price do we buy the spectrum, at what service prices do we actually sell it, and how do we make sense of it. Again, back to the main thing. Customer wants better internet, and it's our obligation to give them better internet. But there are different ways of slicing this onion. So we will continue with 5G as and when the policy is out, and we will look at the dynamics. Currently, one of the challenges in Pakistan is that there are only about 1% of our customers who have 5G enabled handsets. So even if we had 5G in 3 months' time, and we spend, I don't know, X number of dollars, and then we invest in another few $100 million, the question is, who is it going to benefit? Is it going to benefit only 1% of the customers? And the prices of 5G handsets are about 50,000 rupees today. Hopefully they will come down. But then we are actually creating an elite segment which will actually use 5G. So the masses will still be deprived of better internet. And those are the things that we have to juggle when we think about 4G versus 5G. My preference, quite honestly, would have been 4G for all, because even today, 50% of Pakistani population does not have any internet. So I would rather equip them with internet and improve their lives. And we can provide literally 10 times faster internet, even with 4G, if I had access to more spectrum. And why is the spectrum low? Because the pricing of the spectrum is so high that the business case doesn't get justified. So yes, the customers need better internet. They deserve better internet. Maybe they need faster internet also. But certainly they need more reliable and robust internet.
From Kazim Mushtaba's, the President Consumer Division Jazz, I understood that we don't have a very strong business case in 5G, as in if a person is going to use the mobile for Netflix, he doesn't really need 5G for that. If you have an Amazon warehouse being run by robots, then you need 5G for it. So we do not really have a business case for 5G either.
So around the world, 5G has not been as big a success because one element we talked about a lot was the speed. But 5G is not just a linear technology, it's a slightly different one. So the real use cases of 5G is when Internet of Things comes in. That's when you have autonomous vehicles, you perform remote surgery. Now, autonomous vehicles and remote surgery in Pakistan is a little bit further down the road. Right? And by the way, that's the case around the world also. Many operators around the world have not been able to recoup the investments on 5G. Yes, it has been faster, but was it fast enough for customers to pay an incremental amount that justified the investment? That hasn't been proven yet. And yes, 5G is a good technology for faster uplink speeds. That means that you immediately, if there's an autonomous vehicle and a person comes in front of it, it sends a signal upstairs and a brake gets applied. So for those kind of things, 5G is essential. But if you're just downloading or watching Netflix, you can do that on 4G.
Yeah. So then there's Starlink. Huge hype with the Elon Musk and everything. So what's the story there?
Satellite services are not new. We've had satellite services in Pakistan, and they operate and they're very beneficial in maritime environments, in deep rural, in mountainous areas where it's very difficult to deploy traditional networks, which require either fiber connectivity or through radios connectivity that connects one tower to the other. So you would see that around mountainous areas, your calls will get dropped because you have to keep on making sure that there is.
From Karachi to Gwadar, you never have internet along the way.
Karachi and Gwadar, because it's less populated, there is not really enough of a business case to have that whole area connected on internet. By the way, that Makran coastal highway now is connected.
It is.
Yeah,
that's
it is connected.
News.
But back to Starlink or any other LEO company, which is low Earth orbit satellite company, you actually can connect your device directly with a satellite which is up there, and that mode of communication will keep you always connected. The pricing of that is still prohibitive in my view compared to the average ARPUs in Pakistan, which is just about $1.
ARPU being average
revenue per user. So on average, a Pakistani customer in the telecom industry gives less than or just about 300 rupees, right? Maybe 280 rupees per month. So to expect these customers to pay, I don't know, $30 per month to have the privilege of using Starlink would be prohibitive. Secondly, at this stage, there isn't really a device, a smartphone, that can connect your call in this room to a satellite. You have to go outside, use a special device, and then you have to have a line of sight that will connect your device with the satellite, and then you can actually. That
doesn't sound very efficient or convenient.
That's the current stage, but they're actually working on newer devices where you can actually offload some of the satellite communications onto other last mile connectivities, and you can get connected inside the room. Right now, I think from Starlink, you can send messages directly to the phone, but not use internet and not be able to make calls.
Why is Pakistan so excited about Starlink?
I guess
it's in the news.
We have ministers commenting on it. I don't see a very compelling reason at this stage. There are more important things that we need to do at this stage, maybe because Elon Musk is now working very closely with Trump. And by the way, we have done a program with Starlink for Ukraine, and we are excited about that partnership. So certainly, Jazz as a technology company will always be welcoming towards new technologies, towards new ways of addressing the problems that our customers face. And we are very open-minded about both the partnership and the possibilities. I'm just saying that eventually it has to be customer-centric. The customer has to benefit, and we're not threatened by it. There is plenty of opportunity, and whoever does a good job in addressing the customer needs, either we will embrace it as a partner or we will improve our services as a competitor.
You say there's a lot of opportunities, but we had Mobilink and Bharat come together to make Jazz, and now we have a very drawn-out process of the merger between Ufone and Telenor. So there's a lot of consolidation happening in a sector that doesn't have a lot of players. So how profitable is this sector, especially as a telco?
The sector is not very profitable. There are some structural issues that haven't been addressed One of them has been that we get charged spectrum prices in dollars, yet we earn revenue in rupees, notwithstanding how high the price of the spectrum is, but there's an asymmetry. We collect in rupees and we pay in dollars. And whenever there's a massive devaluation, our ability to pay back becomes weaker. And then,
so how bad was the hit when the rupee was depreciating?
we last renewed our licenses when it was about 160 rupees. Today it's 280. The first licenses that we got the rupee in 2004 was 57 rupees. So when we had to renew it in 2019, after 15 years, it had gone from 57 rupees to 118 rupees. And they increased the price from $290 million to $450 million. So there was a massive impact, and that's why we were forced to go into litigation with the government, something that we don't like to do, but there's no predictability in our business. And if we are not able to provide internet services, the whole country shuts down. So we have to take a very balanced and mature view about, is this a sector that you can milk, or is this a sector through which other sectors flourish? And I think that's a fundamental point that we have been trying to make to the government on a regular basis, that telecom is not really a sector, but it is a cross-sector enabler. Whether it is finance that becomes fintech or agriculture that becomes agri-tech, technology and a broadband layer is actually an enabler and a facilitator for all the other traditional sectors. So our approach towards taxing and milking this sector has to be completely different. It's not a one-off exercise. You need this sector to flourish so that we can actually make sure that Pakistan becomes digital Pakistan. If the players in this sector are not profitable, they are unlikely to invest. When they're unlikely to invest, whether it's 5G or greater rollout of services, you will have poorer internet services. Nobody which is not making money is going to improve their services because you just don't have enough of a free cash.
So yes, as you said, that internet is the lifeline for almost all the sectors right now. But Jazz has been on this journey from going from a telco to a service co, and I think part of the reason is that it's not a profitable sector. Perhaps you can shed more light on the journey?
Yeah. That's not entirely true. It may be less profitable, but our decision to pivot to new areas is not driven only by profitability. It's again driven by the fact that the customer's needs have evolved, and they don't always want an internet pipe. What do customers do with internet? They go to destinations. And we were in the business of building roads, which is the internet. But we thought, okay, why do you get onto the road? To get somewhere. Likewise, we have to make sure that we have enough exciting destinations for customers when they get onto the internet highway. So once they get onto the internet highway, they watch entertainment, they transact, they get their health checked, they get educated, they get information. So all of these things are areas that we are now getting into. We will still continue to build towers, sell SIMs, and connectivity, which is core part of our business, will remain an important thing. I think it will remain core to our business, but it may not be our core business any longer. So we have very consciously decided to pivot from being a telco to a digital service co. And by that, I mean that we will be providing services to the customers that customers value the most. And we've been talking about JazzCash. It helps them with inclusion. It helps them with payments. It helps them with lending. We can talk about Tamasha, which is entertainment. And ICC is just around the corner, and we will be showing the ICC matches on Tamasha. We have Samosa, which is a very large self-engagement platform with 20 million customers. And we're going into insurance with Figure Free. And then we will get on to health in our health tech initiative. So all of these things is really how we are trying to become more and more relevant for the customer, keeping in mind their evolving needs.
Which vertical excites you the most?
In the last 2 years, I was super excited by JazzCash, but I think my newest love is health tech. I think there is so much to be done in providing accessible health in Pakistan. Whether it is identifying a doctor, a hospital, providing medicines through e-pharmacy, or doing any kind of a thing that gives you an overall holistic lifestyle change or an improved lifestyle. I think there is a huge demand for that in Pakistan. Our tertiary and secondary healthcare services are oversubscribed. In many places, they are non-existent. our rural outreach is very weak. And I think these are the areas where technology can certainly help, especially using AI.
You have so many different verticals that answer to so many different bodies. So do you not face different and multiple regulatory challenges?
We have
We have DRAP and we have farmers and
we
farmers
have a very
always.
good and competent team which is expanding. And as companies grow larger, you have to add that capacity, that competency, that bandwidth, that group of people who believe in a common mission and a vision, but are subject matter experts in their area. So as we go into health tech, some comforting thing for you is that I'm not going to be the doctor behind it. We only know how to do technology, but we will get the right doctors who will make sure that the services that the AI is developing are appropriate. We will obviously work with the regulatory frameworks as we do in the banking sector. Banking is regulated from the Central Bank of Pakistan. Telecom is regulated from Pakistan Telecom Authority. Entertainment is regulated by somebody else. So we will go to the regulators as and where necessary to make sure that we comply with the local laws. But at the same time, we have a very good and an honest dialogue, because all of these new areas that we're getting into, we're getting in with a technology mindset. So it's disruptive to how these sectors have been. And that requires us to come and present a solution, but also for them to see that the world has changed. So there's a dialogue in the beginning, and then my experience has been that the regulators have been receptive and embracing of technology.
So you are heading a juggernaut. There are, like, you have Tamasha and you hope that maybe one day it will take on Netflix. You have health tech, you have edutech, you have a telco. Don't you feel that you're being stretched too thin? There's too many different verticals with each their own dynamics, demand, supply. Even the consumer classes are different for each sector. So I mean, there's just a lot for one company.
But it's not a one company. Jazz is Jazz World right now, right? So we have evolved from being, like I said, a monolithic telecom company to being a dynamic digital services co. And it's super exciting. I sometimes do feel like a kid in a candy store because I can pick up any business that I spend more time in. But one of the challenges that I go through, and you talked about Kazim, and he'd been on your show. So he runs the telecom business, which is our largest business with 72 million customers. So he runs the telecom company. We have another person who runs the bank, and we have 2,000 people in the bank regulated differently. We have JazzCash as a fintech and a payments thing. So there's a full-fledged team of 200 people with very different skill sets than we have Tamasha. So as we go into different areas, we create those teams and those team structures. And I no longer run any company. I run a really very capable team which is running various companies. So our job is really to make sure that we provide support to all these presidents of various businesses, that they can be customer-centric and can deliver for the customer.
In the next 5 years, what do you think would be your biggest achievement, or what is your biggest goal?
So, 3. We really would like to take jazz out of Pakistan and make it into a regional success. And it could be one of our companies, one of our products, like JazzCash should not be limited only serving customers in Pakistan, or Tamasha should be downloadable anywhere in the world for Pakistani diaspora wants to watch Pakistani television or watch cricket. I think while we keep on talking about FDI, we keep on talking about bringing brands from outside of Pakistan to Pakistan. I think it's about time that we take a big brand from Pakistan and make it international. To me, if I can do that, that would be my most satisfying endeavor.
You mentioned earlier, and not on the podcast, earlier in the conversation, that a large chunk of remittances come through JazzCash in Pakistan. So do you think this is something that could help you expand to GCC regions, for example?
Absolutely. Like one of the biggest contributors to our foreign exchange is the remittances, perhaps close to about $36 billion a year, out of which maybe 2/3 is coming from the Middle East. And we need to find a better way of making sure that that money is sent to Pakistan safely, quickly, at an affordable cost. And without some of the people who are working in blue-collar jobs who have to take half a day off and they have to walk away from their labor camp to some other place, that process is still a little bit painful and time-consuming. What if we can actually give them a JazzCash app over there? They can just click and find out what the bill is for the electricity back in their hometown, and just pay from there, rather than having to send $100 or 100 dirhams, and then somebody has to get to a certain location to be able to convert it into X number of Pakistani rupees and then pay the utility bill. So we're talking about, again, I keep on going back to the service co and putting the customer at the center of our universe. We are there to solve the problems for the customers. And if we are good, we will make money as a byproduct, and we will reinvest that money to address more problems. But we don't chase either revenue or profits. We are committed to making sure, as I said, we're helping improve the lives and livelihoods of people through technology. And I think that you asked me this earlier, do you not feel overwhelmed and pulled in different directions? I think there is just so much opportunity.
So my last question for the podcast, if you had to choose one challenge, something that keeps you up at night, what would that one challenge be?
I've been really passionate about this cashless economy for the last 1 odd year. I think we have a huge opportunity in changing the way that we transact in Pakistan. The same way that we transformed telecommunications 10, 15 years ago, we can completely transform financial services in Pakistan, from payments to lending, digital banking. I think this is such a huge opportunity. And once you do that, you will get a number of benefits as a country. Your corruption will go down. The speed with which transactions happen and the money flows from a recipient to a sender will improve. Your economy will move faster. There will be greater trust in the products that you buy and sell, because there's going to be digital transactions, and there are going to be digital fingerprints on every single transaction. So I think compared to the low starting point, the opportunity is immense. This is not rocket science. It has to happen. And I think if we can make a sizable dent over here, Pakistan will be much better off in the next 2 to 3 years.
In terms of penetration, digital penetration, it has increased, especially the pandemic really boosted it. But even at the rate of growth, the base rate is not very high. I mean, if you have a few thousand, and now we have a few thousand more. So in the next 5 years, do you see a transformational change happening in terms of digitization? So, and what will drive it, the government or the private sector?
I think you have to work together. We need some help from the government. Certain things through governmental policy intervention can really make a difference. For example, we have close to about 5 million small, micro, medium enterprises in Pakistan. And I spoke to you earlier that we have only about perhaps 100,000 EPOS machines or locations where debit or credit cards can be accepted. 100,000 compared to 5 million is nothing. QR codes already 350,000. And the future is going to be QR code, because the cost of deployment is minuscule compared to the EPOS machine. I envision, and I have committed on certain forums, that we will take this number to 1 million in the next 12 months. So going from, yes, so 1 out of 5 retailers or shopkeepers should have a QR code, and hopefully it
that
will
would make the government very happy. It would make taxing the retail sector
but then
so
I need
much
a few
easier.
things from the government also. The government needs to say that there will be no restaurant given a restaurant license unless they take a digital payment.
Can the restaurants in Karachi stop charging 15% tax? Even that has not happened in terms of implementation.
So these are the interventions we need from the government to encourage digital payments. Your GST on digital payments should be lower than your regular.
Absolutely.
So you discourage cash. You have to first of all make digital payments acceptable everywhere. Secondly, you have to encourage it by lowering the tax thing. So if somebody pays, right now in certain places, it's actually the opposite. If you pay using your credit card, you are slapped with some withholding tax and some additional tax, and then, these are
I'm
barriers.
not going to name a restaurant, but it's a very high-end restaurant, and they're like, if you pay in cash, we'll give you like a 25% discount. I'm like, I put away my card, I paid in cash, obviously.
Because they're trying to avoid taxes.
Yes, and at a time when there's 15 to 8%, they are giving a high incentive to pay in cash. So while, yes, all of that, yes, but without the political will to implement.
So this is, I think, where you asked, can you do it alone? We can provide the technology, but there are certain policies and policy directives and interventions that I need the government. And some of these things are devolved subjects at the provinces. So certainly I feel privileged working with the Prime Minister, who's taken this up as a huge opportunity, and he's pushing this agenda. but I think also the provinces need to be on the same page, and I hope they will be, because you will actually collect more taxes, and every province wants to collect more taxes. But the way to collect more taxes is by reducing the rate of the taxation and increasing the width of people who actually pay those taxes. So once you go to a restaurant, you're already willing to pay whatever the GST is, and the restaurant may be taking it from you. They may not be depositing it. This is the cycle that we need to break. So we need to lower the taxes, increase the base that actually pays those taxes, and use technology to make sure that the two work effectively.
Absolutely. I really hope that digitization is incentivized so that the taxes on the tax-paying sector decreases, because us, the middle-income group, that is roaming around with debit cards and credit card. So best of luck to your endeavors, and I hope that the Prime Minister...
One way of incentivizing is that, like, the government can say cash is no longer a choice, as they're trying to do with real estate. So, like you basically say, listen, we will not accept cash for transactions of this size. But it takes a strong political will, and I hope to see that political will, because it does help the government collect more taxes and document the economy.
Strong political will requires a strong functioning democracy, and let's hope all of these things work together for a better, more digitized Pakistan. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you very much for having me.